Cheers, bud.
Dink sink, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That is a bitterness that doesn't stop giving, dude.
Yeah.
With our glasses in our hands, the hops and barley bloom in a land of craft and cans. Every sip, a story shared. Review and taste we dare with our Sunday sips. Sunday sips. Every pour a trip.
Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Sunday Sips.
Sunday Sips.
I'm your host, Kyle Lucas. That's your other host,
Nick Woodard.
in the flesh. We're here. We are excited. This is a kind of like a special, non-special. I mean, like it's normal, but we're
Special, non-special.
we're throwing a little twist on this episode, just because I mean these were available.
Right.
It's our home base brewing.
It's our North Star.
Our North Star, our true North, brewery. This is from Sierra Nevada. If you haven't picked up on it, we are big fans. We
That's an understatement of a lifetime. But
tend to like them a little bit. I'm pretty sure if he turns that hat around, it'll be Sierra Nevada too.
Nice little Sierra Nevada hat. Got a Sierra Nevada sweatshirt. It's kind of a popular spot around here.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know him, Sierra Nevada, you've been living under a rock, and not judging you, but we invite you to come out from that rock and try a beer. Today we're doing the Bigfoot Barleywine-style Ale, and the special that we have going on is the one that I have right here is a 2010 version, and that's a 2025. So a good 15-year difference.
Right. This style of beer, barley wine style, is pretty popular for folks who are real big and craft enthusiasts to buy a couple of these and store them away in their cellar. You know, essentially, it doesn't have to be a cellar, but somewhere dark, somewhere climate controlled, someone's going to stay cool and let it age and see what it tastes like after time. And Sierra Nevada doubles down on this really hard. Every once in a while, they will sell a quote-unquote Cellar series of Bigfoot, which is basically a six-pack that includes Bigfoot from several different years. So last year, picked up a Cellar series, stored them away in the back of the fridge, and kind of just been waiting for the right time. And with 2025's Bigfoot out right now, kind of felt like a cool opportunity to see what the difference is. Same beer, 15 years apart.
I really like that you clarified that, because while you were talking, I was like, how did this guy get a 2010 when he was not 21 in 2010?
That's true. 2010, I was in...
We were sophomores
in high school? Good Lord.
But also, did you really keep it for 15 years? You know what I mean? I was like, that's impressive. This is in extremely good shape for being in the beer fridge for 15 years. No, so we're gonna try both. We're gonna give you the opinions on the beer straight up, and then the discernible differences if our mild tongues can taste it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like we've said for 25 episodes now, we're amateurs in the world of this thing. We just like drinking new craft beers. So getting the opportunity to see if we can even tell if there's a difference between something that's been aged for a long time and something that's, in the grand scheme of things, comparatively brand spanking new. So,
I have so we pulled up the website for Sierra Nevada.
Sierra Nevada always does such a fantastic job of, filling out, giving you the complete story of their beers and what brought it to fruition. I've spent a lot of time on that website, just, looking up new beers, looking up, kind of what their rationale is between some of their awesome creations. So. Yeah.
So specifically on the Bigfoot page, it's under, if you want to check it out, it's under the seasonal tab. The Beast, the beer, the legend. After a workday grind, reconnect with your wild side through our untamed Barleywine-style Ale. This classic lives up to its namesake, massive malt body, sheer hop intensity, standing at a 9.6 ABV. Forgot to mention that. This is a hefty boy.
Oh, yeah.
It rocks a roaring 90 IBUs.
Wow.
So, two types of malts. They got caramelized and 2-row pale. 3 types of hops. They do the Cascade, Centennial, and the Chinook, and with ale yeast. So at the very bottom it says Pacific Northwest hopped, Sasquatch approved. They also give like other nutrition stuff about it, like 30.7 grams of carbs, 318 calories, 2.2 grams of protein. We're getting a little protein.
A little pre-workout, if you will.
So if you want we can pop these suckers open.
This has nothing to do with anything, but at some point, we read these hops, like all these beers have these different kinds of hops in them. I read Citra and Mosaic a lot. There's Chinook is another one that's popular.
Centennial. Yeah.
I have a very baseline understanding of what the different hops do to bring out different flavors and stuff. But I would love if we could take a class or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have some kind of course available where you can really dive into why different hops bring out different signatures and stuff like that. That's nothing to do with anything. Anyways.
It's probably a good YouTube video we could sit down and watch
together.
We
could. I'm sure we could. The internet, baby.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give this one a crack, and I'll hand this to you. Going to have to pick that up.
Totally fine. So to make sure the folks at home can differentiate between these two Bigfoots, the 2025 series is going to go in our beer camp glasses, while the the 2010 version is going to go in our Beyond the Pale glasses.
Yep.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, that's interesting.
The color.
Yeah. Oh, you saved it.
We're right there, baby.
Good save.
We're right there, baby. That's capped. That's a firm cap. The color difference
is so,
you're going to have to show them, yeah. Or you get lit on fire.
Yeah, well, it might catch on fire, but yeah, there is a distinct color difference between the 2010 and 2025.
2025 is the one that's a lot darker.
Yeah.
This one over here. Smell wise.
So I think we go 2025 first, right?
Yeah, for sure. I would do that. Let me drink some of this down.
And then we go and we see what the contrast is.
They relatively kind of smell the same.
They do smell similar.
You break behind the curtain a little bit.
Yeah.
Peel back the curtain, as we like to say. Our boy's gotten me sick. I can feel the tickle. It's coming on. He's going through it. I'll be shortly under the weather.
I'm better than I was because I can smell now.
Yeah. But I'm slipping into it. He's exiting. I'm slipping in. But if you hear me sniffle a little bit, that's what's going on. I can still smell.
Yeah.
So they relatively kind of smell the same to me. So
let's give it a cheers, bud.
Dink sink, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That is a bitterness that doesn't stop giving, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The 90 IBUs, real apparent.
I think this is easily the highest IBU beer that we've had in the podcast. Easily.
I think so.
I can go back and look, but I'm pretty dead certain that's...
IBU, yeah. ABV, no.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think we did one that was like an 80 or something like that.
Yeah, we did one a little higher.
We've done a couple 70s.
But 90s impressive.
It smacks you.
It's 90. There's no second guessing it. It's 90 IBUs. There is some bitterness.
You know what's weird is like it's not like too piney. Like I've had West Coast IPAs even on this podcast that are more piney than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This definitely is a mellower flavor, but bigger bigger bitterness. I'm curious to see what if the older one is going to be.
I wanted to trade you. I wanted to see what the descriptions were on the can and how they differed. Except 2010 doesn't have a description.
Oh, it doesn't?
No. Never mind then.
Extreme in
So
the
much for that.
Extreme in the 80s and a force of flavor today. Bigfoot is a timeless beast of a beer, forever tracked for its enormous malt body and sheer hop intensity. That's true. Drink it fresh or Cellar each year's expedition to unleash a world of new flavors over time.
All right. Are we ready to see what 2010's got in store for us?
Nevertheless, it's a great beer.
Yeah,
it's just very heavy. If you don't like heavy beers, you're not going to like it.
Wow.
Well, it's different.
Wow, that is different.
It's less bitter.
It's less bitter, which I think makes sense.
I feel like it's definitely more sweet. The barley wine.
Gosh.
I'm confused a little bit. Oh yeah, that's more bitter.
Yeah, for sure.
The 2025 one has a more punch in the face.
I think there's more to explore flavor profile wise in the 2010. There's more going on there, which makes sense. It's had time to sit, to bring out different kinds of flavors that might be dormant in something like 2025. But it's man.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more going on in that one. Do they change the recipe?
I don't know. I want to say it's pretty consistent. I know with certain seasonals that Sierra Nevada does throughout the year, they do change
tamper.
Something like Oktoberfest. It's a collaboration with a different German brewery each and every year, so the recipe will be a little bit different. The beer will turn out a little bit different.
Right.
I think Celebration might get some slight variance from time to time.
Sure.
I want to say, and this is based in an educated guess more than anything.
Yeah.
That Bigfoot kind of stays pretty consistent. And I'm not going to be able to describe it very well, but there's just more to the 2010, if that makes sense.
They both are definitely full-bodied. This just leans more on like a bitter, like refreshing, like note, and this is more like depth of flavor in the 2010.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they're both bitter, but I don't see. I can see the 90 for sure in this, and I can see this. If someone said 80, I would for sure agree with that.
It's so interesting. There's the craft beer world is vast.
Yeah.
There's tons of people who enjoy this kind of thing that we also enjoy, and there's entire communities dedicated to cellaring beers and to seeing what it's like after they've aged for some time. And I just stumbled upon, because I was trying to look up if Sierra Nevada itself had anything on the 2020 or on the 2010 Bigfoot that we could reference, but there was a couple of forums that came up of people offering their thoughts on the beer, and I didn't want to dive into that. I didn't want to get any outside influence. I want us to have our own thoughts on these two. But it's there's people who are really into this, and that means they're buying Bigfoot every year, drinking a few of them and cellaring the rest, and just to see what kind of flavors are brought out with time.
Excuse me. They're with Sierra Nevada, or I feel like I see it a lot with Sierra Nevada, is there's big truthers for certain times, for certain beers. There are people that swear and they will never drink anything other than Summerfest. There are people like your pops who he's just an old Chico guy. There are people that are are truthers and just stick with pale ale, and that's what they drink, and it's a good beer. But you know, I feel like the mindset is like, why don't fix it if it's not broken kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come out with different brew or beers or variations that people kind of get upset if they don't also release the original one. I remember Summer Break came out one year instead of Summerfest.
Oh, people went to town.
And it was rough. It was a
whole thing. Could you imagine if next year, 2026, they said, hey guys, for our seasonal this year, for our winter, I think it's technically either winter seasonal.
Yeah, this is available January to April.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our, I guess Celebration also counts as a
It's a winter.
season.
They have different seasonals. Yeah.
Could you imagine if they came out in 2026 and they said, "Hey guys, not going to do Bigfoot this year. We're going to do Big Toe. It's you know, Bavarian-style lager or whatever it could be."
We're gonna do a Mothman ale instead of a Bigfoot. You know, just switch up the cryptids. No, they'll never.
People would lose their minds, and they, as you said, they completely did when it comes to Summer Break and Summerfest. I liked Summer Break.
So okay, Summer Break wasn't bad. It was actually good.
The problem is when you try to replace such an iconic beer as Summerfest.
You can give, you can't take it away.
Right.
Yeah, imagine if they did like, oh, we're not going to do Celebration this year. We're doing this new Firestarter ale. It's like, oh, what? You better give me some Celebration bottles at least, you know? No, this is definitely not a daytime beer.
Oh, no.
I'm sure some people definitely would drink this, you know, after or when they get up to a big hike, they'll suck one of these down and then come back or something. It's not going to be me. It's, this is a little too heavy. I can feel it sitting in my stomach as we talk. It's like, it's very warm, comfy feeling. After I drink this, I'm not going to want to do much of anything. You know what I mean? Much less the ABVs will put me down anyway. Was it 9.6?
9.6.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think now I had to go look at the Bigfoot website myself to kind of help me put to words what I'm tasting here. I think the 2025 is very driven by its hop intensity, driven by its bitterness.
Yeah.
And it's a very tasty beer as it stands. The 2010, and again, I'm going off of hopefully the recipe stayed marginally the same over the years.
It might not have.
And it might not have. And if you know, if we're off base, we apologize. But the malts from the 2010 is kind of what's speaking to me more. It's the caramelized, the 2-row pale. Like I wanted to say caramel earlier, but I was like, that doesn't. If I'm totally wrong, like I'm gonna look like an idiot. But
Bug almost landed on me.
On that back end, I'm getting like a lot more caramel-ish vibe than I would in 2025.
That sweetness.
Yeah,
it's like it is. Yeah. It's got a caramelly note.
Yeah. So, you know, side note: if you ever see me looking down during the podcast, I'm trying to do some research on the fly to help better educate myself, so we can, you know, have a little more full, well-rounded experience with these beers. But to me, that's kind of the big difference. Like this is very hop driven, and this is very malt driven to me. And I want to say that that's due to the aging process, and that's what happens.
Sure. That
the malts get brought out a little bit more, the hops start to dilute a little bit. I don't know enough about the aging process to say that for sure.
Right.
But that's what I'm getting from these two.
Yeah, they definitely flavor profile wise, like they're standing in the same spot. Just one's leaning to the right, one's leaning to the left.
Sure.
Like they're just leaning on.
No, yeah, they're the same beer for sure.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how the same beer can taste
and look
significantly different.
Yeah.
Here, you want to top yourself off with 2010 there, pal?
Yeah, the 2010. It's good. Good stuff.
So I think what we need to determine now, we didn't necessarily break this down before the podcast, is how do we rank these? How do we score these? Do you want to do 2 different scores?
No, I feel like we should.
Or do you want us to go one
together.
aggregate score?
Yeah, we should score them together. I feel like my feelings, I don't know if you agree with this, but my feelings about the beer, no matter what the year, definitely I like the 2010 one a little bit better, in my humble opinion. But as far as I think I can score them together and pull them in my mind as one.
I think that's fair. I think we can do that. As long as you go first.
yeah. I'll let you think about it. I'm very fond of those campfire beers. It's very rich, heavy IBU, heavy ABV beers. I don't know if this is like in my top ranked for those kind of things. I think if I go something heavier, it'll generally be a stout instead of an ale.
Yeah.
So needless to say, I would still be happy if you gave me one of these.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
There's just a little bit of a preference on the other side. I'm gonna give it a 6.75 for me. Wow. Personally, just because I probably won't have a lot of these. I'm not going in the cooler and I'm not looking for this at all.
We're a small enough podcast that you will not get hate from this. But if this was next year, and if we build as in the way that we're hoping to build, people would come for you in the comments.
Yeah, I just feel
6.75. This is one of the most iconic beers that's ever been made.
Listen, we're still above a 5. It's still a good beer, in my opinion. It's still something that I would want to drink. It's just not something that I'm going to be like, well, I hope they got Bigfoot. You know what I mean? I think I lean more stouts for my flavor profile.
Sure.
So it's a lot like sours with me, where it's like I don't like it, but like I understand why you do.
Sure.
It's just not my flavor profile. Preferred. If you hand it to if you have one camping, I'm not going to be mad. I'll drink it and I'll like it.
Yeah.
Just if you give me the option of a Lunar Decadence or a Bigfoot, it's going to be Lunar Deck all day.
Oh, shout out Secret Trail.
Yeah. Just because I just prefer that style if we're getting into the heavier stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, look, man, these kinds of high ABVs historically, and I've said this on several podcasts now, have never been my thing. Mm-hmm. But I think if we're looking for a key point in time where my maybe perceptions of high ABV beers changed, it's when I hit 30. You hit 30, the back starts to hurt a little bit more. You tend to lean less towards a nice Mexican style lager, and maybe instead of having 4 of those, I'll have one of these imperial stouts or one of these barley wines.
Humbly disagree. I'll take the 4 Mexican lagers any day.
Circumstances dependent, of course. Yeah. But I have
around the campfire at night, I would definitely go for one of these over the 4.
Look, we've both been in a spot where we've taken the 4 anyways. But
we've been in a spot where we take the 4 and the 1.
True. There's a lot of truth to that. But I have an affinity for this, and I think tasting the beer from 15 years ago only adds to the lore for me, adds to the legend, and I think there's something to be said about the legend of this beer.
Sure.
And you're drinking something that is, been the apple of many craft beer enthusiasts' eye for a long time. Mm. It is. Sierra Nevada makes a lot of iconic beers.
Yeah.
It's one of the top 3 most iconic beers they make.
Oh, really?
I would say so. I would say Bigfoot. I would say Celebration. I would say Pale Ale. I know hazy sells more now.
Yeah,
but I
it's
think
not- I don't
I think if we're talking about the historics of it all,
Yeah, for sure.
I think we're looking at those
I agree
three.
with you there. What's the beer that's the before you rate? Sorry,
Please.
what's the beer that is now? It used to be the Ovila Abbey. That was Sierra Nevada. Is that now the Trip in the Woods?
Well, I think it's still. I think it still says Ovila on it, but I think
Okay.
it's under the tag of Trip in the Woods.
Okay, it's
because they
under
do
that
the bigger
umbrella.
bottles.
Yeah.
For anyone who's local, you understand exactly what we're talking about. If you go to the gift shop, they have these, I think, 32-ounce bottles.
Yeah, big boys.
Glass bottles that are like, higher ABV type stuff that you can pick up for $20 a piece. And the Ovila Abbey Ale is one of those. I'm going way higher than 6.75. And I'm struggling with this because everyone at this point knows that I'm a homer for Sierra Nevada. So I don't want to go too high and get the flack that I'm just, a Sierra Nevada fanboy and hyping up their stuff. But I think it's a 8.25 for me.
Yeah.
I think it's right there. And the
I
other
thought
thing
8 for
is,
you.
I've given at least the last two beers that we've tried an 8 or above. So I feel like either we're trying really good stuff or I'm not being as harsh as I need to be. But I think it's a little bit of the first one. It's an 8.25. It's so good, especially for it not being a beer that's in my wheelhouse normally. Just seeing how they transition between the two of them, from going for something that's super hop driven and tasty in its own right,
Yeah.
especially for someone who can handle a little bit more bitterness, to something that really brings out those malty notes, that the caramelized. I mean, that sums it up better than I ever could. Like, knowing that they had caramelized malt in there, because that's exactly what it tastes like. And it's so interesting to me because we've never done this. We've never had two beers 15 years apart. Never tried a Cellar beer to see what it tastes like in comparison to the fresh thing. So I was just kind of blown away to see how different they taste.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, I thought we were going to taste like really maybe hints of like differences, but they are two different beers at this point.
Yeah.
They start from the same base, like you said, the same foundation, but two different beers.
Yeah, I feel like I figured you were gonna go about an 8. I tried to score this without pulling the historical value of the beer.
Yeah.
Because my score I want generally to be just the beer, just the liquid itself. You know what I mean? Not because then if we do like pale ale or something, then it affects that kind of score.
We should do pale ale at one point.
We will for sure. That being said, there is a lot of historical value in this beer. When you were talking, I was thinking about those like heavier Sierra Nevadas, like your Bigfoot, your Narwhal, your what's the triple IPA they do? Optimum.
We did Optimum for our inaugural podcast episode.
One,
we compared that to Pliny the Younger. Younger, I think.
And then the Ovila, the Trip in the Woods, right?
Yep.
Out of all of those, not surprisingly, I would want the Narwhal because it's the stout.
It's the stout, and it's a very tasty stout.
It's very good. Don't worry, Narwhal will be here. I will make sure of it. If he doesn't want to, I'll drag him out here and we'll review Narwhal.
We'll do some Narwhal. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Essentially, we would like to get through all of it. Yeah. All the beers in the world.
We got plenty of time.
No, but like, not surprising, those will probably get higher scores from me just because of my flavor profile.
Yeah.
If you really love this beer, please don't send a bullet through my window. I respect your decision to have this beer, and it's a very tasty beer, and I'm happy that you really like it. The less I buy, the more you can buy.
There you go.
So
that's a good point.
There you go.
I think there's not much else to say.
That's about it. Yeah, man. Sierra Nevada. Killing it again.
Once again.
Back
At it again with the barley wines.
just like Morgan Wallen. They don't miss.
They don't
miss.
miss.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Insta. Tell us what you think about the episode down in the comments.
And stay tuned for, maybe potentially some fun stuff in the future. We might have some exciting updates.
Nothing but activities, dude.
And we got a lot planned. There's no slowing down over here.
No, just keep on going. Don't forget, crack one for us. We'll crack one for you.
Cheers.
Take care. Forgot to.
Yeah, we didn't finish ours.
Take care.
Oh man,
It's good.
so good.
We unravel flavors lore. Mosaic dreams take flight of IPAs and we adore. Raise a toast to what's new here in the world of craft beer with Sunday sips. Sunday sips. Every pour a trip with our Sunday sips. Each note we hear as we sip and cheer. Craft beer's near. Sunday's treasures clear with our Sunday sips. Sunday sips. Every pour a drip with a Sunday